right. Let's just to get this all done as quickly as possible. Okay, that's taken care of. The link. Alright, just let the community tab know. I just gotta go into Discord. Hopefully it doesn't ask me to log in. Okay, that works. Okay, that should do it. All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to another live stream. We are here now at the end of week 5. And yeah, what a week. I mean, definitely a more interesting week compared to last week. Definitely we're definitely looking at a more interesting vote potentially than what we had last week. I should probably open up the stream manager to see what see who's on. Hey Batman's Forgotten Son needs Zach Vince on the block and a tiebreaker vote cast by Ava. Yeah, so like we can definitely talk about the votes in just a minute. Let me just see what everyone else says. Best case for me would be Vinny Boot. Yeah, I'd be fine with a Vinny Boot. Hope that Vince goes home tired of that rat. How dare you call Vince a rat? Like he's an egg, but he's not a rat. Hey Will, glad to see you again. Last 2 weeks of Loki shook up the game. Yep. Did you see the Blockbuster challenge? I have. Yeah, so Julie did another Instagram post. Not going to show it this time because I showed it last week and I actually got the stream got demonetized because I didn't realize until afterwards that there's copyright music playing. So basically, here's what I know. So I actually can't hear the computer audio, the audio coming out of my computer because basically it's like I have headphones plugged into my mic. My mic's plugged into my computer, so I can't actually. So I couldn't actually hear what Julie was like. I couldn't actually hear the Instagram clip from last week, so I didn't realize that there was copyrighted music on it. And I took the time to listen to the music this week, or at least took the time to listen to the clip this week. And yeah, there's music again. And to be fair, it's like Julie doesn't even show the whole thing, but yeah, I did see what it was. It's basically just like it's just a puzzle, which it's a good thing Kelly's not playing because she would crush this. Like because Kelly's all about puzzles, so I feel like with Keanu, Vince, and Zach, it's definitely more of an even playing field. Uh, Keanu's delusional by wanting to throw the blockbuster. Yeah, so that's definitely something. So yeah, so there's definitely quite a bit to get into stuff that we had seen from the last few days. Um, yeah, so literally, it's like I made my video back on Tuesday afternoon, and some stuff has changed since then. Since I made that video, that we should talk about here. So first up, I did say so. I said in the video that Zach was like the consensus boo. It seemed like he would go home against both Keanu and Vince. That's not necessarily the case at this current point. So I guess we can run through each of the scenarios here to get a sense of what I think is going to happen. So let's start off with Keanu versus. Actually, no, I'll say that one because that's probably the more interesting one. So let's start first with Vince versus Zach. So Vince versus Zach. The projection that I have is this. So Ashley is a vote for Vince. Rachel is a vote for Vince. Will is a vote for Vince. So Rachel, she had been pretty anti Vince for a while now. I mean, I feel like she sees Vince as the bigger threat in the game, and I think she still stands by that. Ashley and Will, though, they're the more interesting development. Now, Will was already like kind of pro Zach because of the London trip from the veto. It seemed like that meant a lot to Will, and in doing so, like he has talked about how he would vote to keep Zach no matter what. So that's besides the point. But more interestingly is the fact that Ashley also decided to flip here. So it seems like uh, actually that's not even like the most interesting. It's more so in the Keanu scenarios, but I feel like against Vince and Zach, like they are more inclined to vote out Vince in this scenario. They're more likely to vote with Rachel here. So that's the votes for Vince. However, I still think Zach is likely to go out in this scenario. So you have Catherine and Riley. Both of them are pretty anti Zach in general. And I feel like if Zach is up against the block against Keanu as well, I feel like they would also vote against Zach in that case. At least it seems that way because I feel like for them, like they kind of recognize that Keanu's better for their games compared to Zach. Particularly like Zach and Vince together. I feel like they would rather have Keanu in the game than both Zach and Vince. So, and I feel like between Zach and Vince, Catherine and Riley don't really like Zach too much at this current point, so their votes for Zach. You have Lauren. Lauren votes for Zach because she is closer to Vince. We literally saw during Lauren's HOH that Vince had a lot of influence during that. I think Lauren is probably more loyal to Vince compared to Zach. That was a point that has been somewhat contention, or at least a point that I brought up in previous power rankings. But I think Lauren votes Zach in that case. You have Mickey. So Mickey's kind of been like a weird case. Like she's basically been like the swing vote during a lot of these scenarios, and like she's been like very waffly. Like literally, it was Waffle Wednesday yesterday with like all this like shifting back and forth. And mind you, she's not the only one that shifted around, but it seems at this point that she is more inclined to vote out Zach over Vince. There is a possibility that it flips though. Like it's not entirely secure, but for now, like I have her marked down as a vote for Zach in the scenario. And along with that, I think Morgan's another vote for Zach, which is funny considering that Zach says he says on the feeds, he also says in the episode that the reason he didn't use his power is because he wanted to protect Morgan because he knew that Morgan would be the renom, so he wanted to keep her safe. But it's funny that now like Morgan and Mickey have flipped to where they would vote out Zach over Vince here. So I think that kind of contributes at least some appeal to Zach going out in this scenario. And then I had Kelly. Kelly, I think, is a vote for. I think she's a vote for Zach in this scenario. I mean, I think she's kind of also gone back and forth because it's like she doesn't really trust Vince that much, but I think it seems like she would lean towards voting Vince, but I don't think that's entirely secure either. And then Keanu would be a vote for Zach. I mean, Keanu has very openly been pro Vince. Like he's literally been campaigning for Vince, and you know, like sort of circling back to an earlier point, Keanu has talked about throwing the Blockbuster to Vince because Keanu thinks he has the votes to stay, which contributes to Keanu not being the greatest player in the world, obviously. It is insane that he is entertaining the idea of throwing the Blockbuster, but I think his allegiance to Vince is pretty apparent. So, with Keanu being a vote for Zach in this scenario, I do have Vince going out, surviving over Zach in that scenario. Now, again, there's still like some openness for the vote to flip. I think Mickey and Morgan are likely people that could flip in this scenario. I think even Kelly could be up in the air, and I would expect it to like not be like a unanimous vote by any means, but I do currently have Zach going out over Vince here. So let me just put all these back. So that's that scenario. And then we have the Keanu scenario. So let's start off with Keanu versus Zach here. So Keanu versus Zach. It is going to be an interesting vote. I think all three of these have the potential to be interesting votes here, even though it is not looking great for Keanu, which I think a lot of that's been Keanu's own fault. I mean, we can go through the votes here. So the votes to take out Keanu. This is the big one, I feel like. These are the big ones. So you have Ashley, you have Will wanting to vote out Keanu in this spot, which is different from what they wanted before, because I feel like before, like, they were definitely more open to taking out like breaking up Zach and Vince. I mean, but it's particularly Vince. Like, I mean, Ashley and Will, like, were pretty open to taking out Vince before. That has since shifted. And I think against Zach, like, I think they're even less likely to flip. So I think in this scenario they would vote out Keanu in this scenario. Let's get the other votes here. So Lauren's pretty clear vote for Zach. I feel like that was always there for Zach. Um, you have Mickey and Morgan, who have kind of flipped. Mickey has been pretty anti Keanu for a lot of the week, like we've literally seen her in the past day, like trying to campaign to take out Keanu. Whether that campaign has been successful or not is definitely questionable. Like, I feel like Mickey has really, like, rubbed some people the wrong way with how she has come off in the house, with her seeming to think she's the swing vote. I mean, and she probably still is in a lot of these situations, but I feel like she's definitely rubbing a lot of people the wrong way with the way she's talking about other players. I think it's also come off in the way that, again, just the way she's carried herself, which has not been great at all. However, there will be other votes here for Keanu in this scenario, so let's just pull them up. So that's 5 votes right there. Ashley, Will, Lauren, Mickey, Morgan. So assuming those are the only votes, that would be a tie. So the people that want out Keanu will need to have at least one more vote, because Ava has said that she would break the tie to evict Zach. I feel like that's her preference at this point. So in that case, you would need at least one more vote to take out Keanu here. The question is where that vote comes. So if we are looking at the board, again, as I alluded to a moment ago, Catherine and Riley, I feel like, would be anti-Zach votes in this scenario. Again, they're probably anti-Zach in most scenarios, and I feel like that would carry over here. You have Rachel, who is supposed to be working with Keanu right now. So I feel like she's an unlikely vote there. Oh, I almost forgot about Vince. So Vince would obviously be a vote to keep Zach here. So actually, I don't know. Yeah. Keanu, Vince is a vote for Zach here, which is funny considering that Keanu has been fighting so hard to keep keep Vince in the game, but yet it seems like Vince would side with Zach over him. So again, assuming nothing changes, I mean, and then Kelly, it's like, I think Kelly is a vote for Zach. I don't know. I'm not sure where Kelly goes, if I'm being honest. What did I have down previously? So I know Kelly's anti Vince. Yeah, so I feel like Kelly could be up in the air, but really, I think the bigger swing votes here, you obviously have Mickey. Actually, no, not Mickey. Ashley and Will. Those, I feel like, are going to be the key swing votes here in this scenario. I feel like if we are to expect Zach to be evicted, it would largely come down to whether Ashley and Will could be persuaded to flip over to Zach. Obviously, we need at least one of them to flip over to cause a tie. Both of them flipping over, assuming Kelly still a vote for Zach, would result in Zach being taken out 6-4, which, is that happening? I'm inclined to think not, but I feel like that's where we stand in this scenario. Let me just put everyone back. And then finally, we probably have probably the most interesting scenario of the three, and that is Keanu versus Vince. Let me just take a look at the chat here. Has anyone said anything in chat? Couch pro Keanu. Yeah. Yeah, I think I had him marked down by that. Keanu goes against Vinny. Yeah. So I have Keanu versus Vinny right here. So let's see the votes here. So I think it's gonna be a lot of the same votes here. So you have Ashley and Will, who are anti Keanu, at least from what we saw as out of the end of the day yesterday. So where's Will? So they're anti Keanu right now. That's again, and I feel like Keanu's survival will come down to whether these two can get back on board, because really Ashley and Will, they should not be taking out Keanu here. I feel like they're making a pretty bad move by taking out Keanu here. It's just a question whether they can come around to that. But anywho, so you then have Catherine. No. You have Kelly and Rachel, who would be votes to evict Vince in this scenario because Rachel's been on to Vince. And Kelly, as we established, is pro Keanu. And Kelly has also been sus of Vince, so she would vote for Keanu based on that. So those are the main locked in votes here. We have Mickey and Morgan, who I feel like would be votes for Keanu in this scenario. Let me just move them over. You have Lauren, who is a vote for Keanu. She would vote to keep Vince. And then you have Zach, who is a vote to evict Keanu. So that's where they stand here. Now, with that, you have the question of what Catherine and Riley do, because while Catherine and Riley are anti, I feel like they're more anti Zach than they are pro Keanu at this point. I'm still thinking they're going to lean towards keeping Keanu, as I feel like they recognize that Keanu's good for their game. So in this scenario, again, it comes again like there's definitely paths here for a tie here where you could have Ashley and Will flipping, as in this case, particularly Will. I feel like Will is not as incentivized to keep Zach here, as obviously you have the whole London trip that meant a lot to Will. So I feel like it largely comes down to them, where really it only takes one of them flipping to force a tie. And in that case, like you had a tie, what does Ava do in that scenario? And I think that's also like up in the air, because I feel like Ava would naturally vote to evict Vince in this scenario. I mean, I feel like obviously her whole like idea with this HOH was to put up Zach and Vince as these big power players on the other side. However, Mickey is very anti Keanu, and she has been obviously campaigning pretty hard to get Keanu evicted. And the question here is whether Mickey would force Ava's hand here into evicting Keanu in the scenario. I think that would also be a very interesting possibility here. Now, I think it's unclear whether Ava would cave into this, because from what we saw, like Ava like doesn't really want to deal with a lot of this. So and I feel like it could go either way, where it's like on one hand it's like she doesn't really want to put up with this and she's just going to do what she wants regardless, or it can mean, sure, I'll do what you want, Mickey. Now leave me alone. I put up my noms, my power's done. I think you can clearly tell through this week that Ava didn't really want to put in a lot of work outside of just the initial noms. I just gotta get this fill fixed. So again, like that's sort of where we are at now. Things could have changed, and I think it'll be interesting to see how things change here. I would still say Keanu and Vince is the scenario that has the most intrigue. However, I personally would want Keanu to win the Blockbuster, simply because I want Keanu around for another week, obviously. But obviously, there's a lot of questions over how much Keanu's going to try in this Blockbuster. I mean, he did entertain the possibility of throwing it, and I think he's at least somewhat likely to go through with that. Um, but anyway, we are now just a couple minutes from the start of the show. I am watching it on my phone. Just gotta get it plugged in. Just gotta get all hooked up here. It's kind of crazy. Both Keanu situations are 6-4, where even if one person flips and Ava flips in the tiebreaker. Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think I feel like this is a far more interesting Thursday than what we got last week, where I feel like last week was a pretty open and shut case. I think here we have more intrigue. She should keep Keanu over both. I agree. It's a question of whether she has changed her mind or not, because the last I heard, she was on board to evict Keanu in any scenario. Where's Keanu in the player ranking if he goes home this week? That is a question. Because it's like, is he on the bottom? Like, because it's like, I think it's just hard to really say, because like, if we're going through the boots, like, I mean, you have, I feel like Zay is like fine. Zay's fine. Amy's bad. Like, Amy's bad. Adrian's not great. Jimmy's mostly bad. I don't know, because like it's tempting to have Keanu on the very bottom, because it's like he did like essentially win out to get to where he even was, and more actively sabotaged opportunities in the game. I'd have Keanu bottom 2 or 3. He's definitely gonna be low, like when it's all said and done. But it's like I think it's like I think the hard thing is like I feel how to weigh his mistakes versus others. I do think at the end of the day, he probably made bigger mistakes, and he probably should have gone out sooner, and he probably made more unforced errors. But on the other hand, I do think he at least had okay ideas. Like, I think he definitely showed that he had like an okay strategic mind, like when he had like good information. The, but I think a major problem is that like he just has terrible reads. Like, he just severely overestimated his position in the house, and I think that's obviously a big fault to him. So there's that. So I think I don't know. Maybe he's like for sure bottom 3. I just don't know if he's at the very bottom. But anyway, the show is now starting on my end. We are seeing Julie now doing her typical setup. Young got saved by twist. Yeah, that is another thing. The week two veto. I think that puts him. I mean, yes, he can win cons, but it's like, I mean, one of them. I mean, because he's really only won like, yeah, he won like 2 vetoes, but yeah, he was also saved by twist. Like, he had that veto that he got from Casey, and he would have been voted out most other opportunities. Yeah, so right now we're getting the recap. Anyway, I should probably update the games while I'm at it. I don't know. Who will win their safety? That is a question. Anyway, recap is wrapping up. Big brother. And we're getting the normal intro here. Also it's really hot in my room right now. So the AC, our AC is not working. So it stopped working last night. And yeah, so like it's been pretty hot. Today was pretty hot. Like it was hotter in my house than it was outside. So like I was actually going outside to like cool off, which is kind of funny. But anyway, just getting done with the intro here. Good evening. I'm Julie Chen Moonves. But yeah, so it's like it's pretty hot in here. The lights are not helping at all. These lights right here. Anyway, I was updating the games. Maybe. But first, anyway, we're now getting to the show. Getting to the post veto pleasantries. We have Rachel being anti Vince. All right, everyone picked, which is good. And no one is at risk this week. All right. The BB buy off. Well, that would have sucked for her. Monster can just spray me to death. Oh no. Now we're getting Ava. We have Ava starting to change her mind on the. I guess. If only she knew what she's in for. We're having Mickey. I should probably unplug this. Yeah, we're fine. We have Mickey being and Ashley chatting about the vote. Yep, we have Mickey being the HOH right now. I thought Mickey was HOH last week. I guess we time travel to last week. Okay, whatever you say, Mickey. We have Ashley getting pretty irritated by Mickey's approach. Maybe. Well, clearly it's big dictatorship. And now we got Riley talking to Kelly. Maybe. All right, now we're having Ashley and Will. I'm guessing this is establishing them as a voting bloc. Yep, we're having them getting pretty annoyed by Mickey. Show's dunking on Mickey. Yeah, they are right now. Makes you wonder why they didn't dunk on her more last week. Yep, now Rachel has entered the convo. Can we have Mickey and Morgan on the block next week? Well, depends on who wins HOH. I mean, it's definitely a possibility they both end up on the block. Now we have Mickey and Zach talking. I have no hope for these diary room scenes since I already know where these people's minds are at. I mean, yeah, it's always been the case. Like, I mean, DRs, it's like, like they usually have to like entertain like they had to at least pretend like they're weighing all the options. still kind of like Morgan. Uh, I think I think Morgan has like some good moments here. I mean, I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's like the fact that they just talk about how like we deserve to have this. Like people like Rachel, they don't deserve to be in the game. I don't know. I feel like that kind of like annoys me. It's kind of annoying. That Anyway, we're getting to commercial now, which is going to be the time for me to update the polls. All right, we have HOH. No one voted for Ava to win last week. Oh my god, they're still in the costumes. Yeah, yeah, it's like how are they going to compete? I mean, surely they're not going to compete wearing those things, are they? Will be nominated. Keanu. Okay. Okay. Okay, well, that's convenient then. We just got another Survivor commercial. We are back now from commercial. Ordinary. All right, now we're gonna have Zach telling peeps. Well, actually, no, we're just getting another Vince sequence. Okay. Right, Vito. No one picked Catherine. Vito. Anywho, power. We're just getting normal Big Brother stuff. Sorry about that. I'm just going back to see the messages here. Mickey said she wants to keep Zach, so when she's HOH, she can... yeah, she. Oh yeah, that was something she said. Yeah, she wants to take the money. Yeah, she just needs to promise to not put up Morgan as replacement nom, and I guess that's all it takes to get Zach to use the power. Can't believe I like Morgan, Mickey. Uh, yeah, I mean that's the thought. Like, especially for a comp like that, it again because it's like a fairly somewhat physical challenge because like you have to like pick up like the big pieces and like move them. No Tucker doing his boot round. Yeah, exactly. It's like it wasn't a freaking egg in enlarged buttocks. I feel like anyone has a shot. Hold on. I feel like anyone has a shot of winning this game with how much. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I still stand by my power rankings, but it's like, yeah, like, I feel like the fact that like Riley and Will are 1 and 2 in the power rankings, I think it really says a lot about the season. Does Vince think he's gone? I mean, there was a point early in the week where he thought he was. I mean, at this point, not as likely. And now we have Zach and Morgan talking. Really, Zach? Morgan's the swing vote here? This is the hardest decision? Anyway, so Zach's now telling Morgan about the power and how he still has $10,000. But it's okay. It's okay, Morgan. I get to keep $10,000 to keep you safe. Anyway, we're getting to commercial now. So once we get back from commercial, and it looks like okay, they took off the costumes. That's good. So Keanu's still wearing like a t-shirt with a tuxedo, but he's no longer in the outfit. Vince is out of the outfit, so it's an even playing field. Anyway, we're now at commercial here. Once we get back, we are going to get straight to the BB Blockbuster, where we have Keanu, Vince, and Zach currently on the block here. We talked about it earlier that this is an interesting set of nominees here, and I feel like each of the three scenarios does have some intrigue involved. Now, a lot of that came down to some campaign that happened yesterday and into today, but I do feel like this is a more complex situation in the sense that there isn't like one for sure person going out. Might be Survivor Gabon of Big Brother. Might be the BB Can 9 of BBUS. Anywho, Survivor Gabon was fun. This season isn't. Uh, I don't know. I do feel like the Gabon comparisons may be apt here because Gabon's like good. But I don't know. Like I feel like I like other seasons more than it, and I feel like even with like all like the chaos and players just not playing well, like I don't know. I feel like I didn't really connect with it as well as like other people have. Anyway, I gotta take another drink of my water because it is so hot in here. Yeah, I talked about it earlier that yeah, the lights are definitely not helping right now with the heat. I'm sweating. Live feeds have been draining. Somewhat, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's like again, like watching Catherine and Riley. It's like, I do think a lot of the waffling, like, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, it is kind of hard to connect with. I feel like, so like, I feel like, again, Gabon may be a right comparison here. Anyway, we are back now for commercial, and with that, we are now at the moment of truth. We are at the BB Blockbuster, as I said earlier. So we did get a preview of the comp from a post from Julian on Instagram. That being it's a puzzle where you have to move a bunch of big pieces so that I think you have to color code them. I believe. Yeah, I think that's what you have to do. You have to like color coordinate the different blocks. And why is it buffering? Okay, we're good. First eviction you're watching live. Well, glad you could join us. Keanu's breathing in and out. He about to lock in. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of hoping Keanu pulls it out. It'd be fun. Anyway, I'm just gonna minimize the chat now so I can't be spoiled. All right. Yep, you're just trying to color coordinate them. All right, pretty straightforward. Okay. All right, we are off to the races here. So like I said, we got to color coordinate here. It'll probably take a minute to really make sense of this all, but focus on Zach early on. Everyone's moving pretty quickly, but it's not immediately clear who has the lead here. It looks like Keanu has the early lead here with two greens in a row here. Anyway, Zach is kind of all over the place here, not really making much progress. Keanu, again, the only one seeming to have any progress, but he's like slowing down a bit. Zach currently has two yellows on his red stack. That's not promising, but like it seems like he's figured it out. Vince currently has two yellows on his. Keanu definitely slowing down at this point. Keanu's definitely like stopping to study it more. Zach and Vince are moving very quickly here. Vince is the first to complete his yellow stack. So it seems like Vince is currently in the lead here. Keanu's in second right now with his two greens. Zach, though, seems to be far behind, not making any. Actually, no. Zach has now completed his yellow column, and now Keanu is in last. Again, nowhere near to completing his yellow stack here. Again, right now it's unclear any other progress being made. Keanu, though, is making progress on his blue stack here. He has two blues in his stack, two yellows in his stack here. Vince seems to be making progress on his red stack, which is promising. It looks like Keanu has now finished his blue stack. So now Vince has one stack completed. And Keanu has another stack completed. Keanu though has figured out his red stack. Keanu now in the lead. Now he has three, and Keanu all of a sudden finishes all of his pieces. It all came together like a symphony here. And Keanu has won the BB Blockbuster. He is coming out the block. And now we have Vince versus Zach on the block here. Very exciting stuff. This is the dream scenario here. Wow. All right, if you are just joining us, Keanu has just won the BB Blockbuster. Keanu, the person who seemed to be in the most danger coming tonight, where it did seem like he was the favorite to be voted out in either scenario that he would be on the block, has just secured his safety, meaning that one of Vince or Zach are about to go home. And this is interesting. Like, I would expect Zach to be evicted in this scenario. I mean, we talked about it earlier, but there still could be some last second campaigning that could take place here. But again, I'm pretty happy with this result. I'm happy that Keanu will be here for another week to be his Keanu self. But yeah, can't say I'm mad here. Let's see the comments here. All right. Yeah, Keanu was thinking it out. Like, yeah, we definitely saw Keanu was taking he was definitely taking his time more than Zach and Vince. Like Zach and Vince, like they were like constantly moving pieces. Like Keanu, it did seem like he definitely took more time to like plan it out, but like and it did seem for a minute that he was falling behind, but like again, like Vince got ahead, but then he stalled. And then Keanu like was just able to just run away with it. Like it just seemed like just a couple again, like the second stack, the third stack, and the fourth stack all came pretty quickly. Yeah, and he was just able to just piece it all together very quickly. And yeah. Anywho, I should probably update the polls here. So the poll was interesting because I actually hedged my bet with and I'm kind of regretting it now, but like I hedged my bet here where I picked Keanu on the Blockbuster question, but I also picked Keanu on the evicted question. So like I voted for Keanu to win the Blockbuster and to be evicted. Kind of a way of hedging my bet here. And it kind of worked out because I did at least get 1 point, but Keanu winning the Blockbuster was the more popular option than him being evicted. So again, questionable how much I gained from that, but I'll just update the scores here. Um, but yeah, I hedged my bet. Yeah, Zach completely sucked. Yeah, Zach was like in last place. He was behind pretty much the whole time. It's like so I found that really funny. Vinny struggled. I think Vinny like again he did like finish like a piece. Like he finished a tower at least. But like yeah, he kind of like ran to a roadblock. Should have used her power. It is looking that way. But we'll see what happens with the vote. Um, last week's 1 and 2 are on the block. Oh yeah. This is making last week's power ranking even more funny in hindsight. Uh, yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know any ways. I don't know any unofficial ways. For to watch the episode. single-handedly save the season? I don't know. I don't know if it saved the season, but I think it definitely it's probably my ideal outcome for the week. Keanu will win the wall comp, obviously. And we are still at commercial here. All right, yep, we are now back from commercial. All right, this is going to be some interesting reactions here in just a moment. Let's see what happens. Does jury start this week? It's unclear. Well, no, not this week. It would, at the very least, be one more week. Anyway, Vince is back in the costume. Anyway, Julie just announced it. Cut to. Is that why we were back from? It took so long to get to commercial. Because they had to put on the costumes here. So anyway, we have Mickey hugging Vince here. A lot of focus on Mickey here. All right, we have a lot of focus on Zach hugging Morgan. Not much campaigning happening right now. Yeah, it would be final 11 at the very earliest. It's going to be 12 after tonight. Yeah, it looks like Zach and Vince are getting very emotional. They're both hugging each other. Yeah, Zach seems resigned. Even Keanu's joining in on the hug. Just funny. Yeah, Zach seems pretty resigned right now. Not much campaigning happening here, and they're all just sitting down. It looks like Zach is about to go home here. All right, Julie, summon them now for the eviction speeches. Still in the costume. All right, Zach is going first here. Panda Express stage left. Anyway, Zach. Vince now has to deliver his speech in the egg costume. Again, very conciliatory. Neither of them want to throw each other under the bus right now. Vince is getting pretty emotional. Yeah, she's just looking around right now. Yeah, I just saw that moment there. Anyway, time to get to the votes. Now, we talked about this earlier. I projected at the beginning of stream that Zach should be voted out here. So, first up, we have Mickey. Mickey should be a vote to evict Zach under my projections here. All right, Mickey, vote for Zach. Not too surprising there. Rachel, should be a vote for Vince here. Rachel, vote for Vince. Again, also to be expected. Will, should be a vote for Vince here as a sympathy vote. There it is. Will is a vote for Vince. Ashley should be a vote for Vince here as well, voting alongside Will and Rachel here. Yeah, I think they're just trying to get all the Vince votes out of the way. Oh, Ashley's a vote for Zach in this scenario. All right. Going to commercial now. Actually, did it change? Like, I think I saw a post from Gargan. Okay, yeah, Ashley did flip to Zach. Okay, yeah, so the will was just a sympathy vote. Okay, okay, so that makes sense. So it is looking on track to be an 8-2 vote here. Vince is just hiding his face right now with the egg costume. Yeah, Ashley voted to Mickey's Mist. What? Jeff Probst dies in Survivor 50? Where'd you hear that? That's so sad. Yeah, so it is Vince and Zach on the block now. We're currently on commercial in the middle of the eviction vote here. It is looking to be that Zach will be evicted here, seemingly in an 8-2 vote. I mean, Rachel and Will were the most locked votes for to keep Zach. Rachel being anti-Vince, and then Will being a sympathy vote due to the London trip. However, Mickey, again, pretty anti-Zach from the offset, and Ashley seeming to have flipped to Zach at a point where it seemed like she would be a vote for Vince. No, Zach is supposed to be leaving at this point in this scenario. We are currently commercial. We're gonna get to the other votes here. Still more to come. We're gonna be seeing Morgan having the vote to evict Zach here, and we all know we're gonna have that moment after the eviction where Julie asks Zach if he thinks Morgan was one of the votes for him. That's gonna be funny. All right, I should probably update. Um, yeah, I should start updating the. So Zach was like a big favorite in the draft and stuff. I can start updating the draft here because I think I'm pretty confident what's going to happen at this point. Unless we cut back from commercial. Zach is 13th place. Yep. All right. And then everyone should be safe in the pool because no one picked Zach. He reunites with his boyfriend. I guess so. All right, we are back now for commercial here. Who are they going to show first? Are they going to show Morgan? Vince is still hiding. They both have their heads down, which is funny. Anyway. Yep, they're cutting straight to Morgan. Oh boy. Yep. Pretty emotional. Well, there it is. The person Zach didn't use his power to save, just voted him out. All right, Kelly's up next. These should all be Zach votes. Yep, Kelly's a Zach vote. We have Riley. This should be a pretty locked in Zach vote. All right. There it is. Not too shocking. One more should do it. We have Lauren. Should be a Zach vote here. All right. That does it. 6 votes. That is all she wrote. All right. All right. Catherine is next. Yep. Locked vote for Zach. Keanu should be a vote for Zach. He's still in the costume. All right. There it is. 8-2 is the vote. Already down to 2 Burger Boys. Yep. That's what it's looking like. Yep. Doesn't seem shocked. How is Lauren going to say sadly, then start shouting out her family? Yeah, that is. again, that's pretty standard Big Brother for you. All right, we have Vince and Zach hugging. Why would it be 7 and there's one more person? Well, again, BB25 that had a 17-person cast. That they started jury at 9. Yeah, so it had been a 9-person jury for a while, but then BB25 like shook it up by going back to 7-person, and then BB26 did the same. The reason why there's speculation about it going back to 9 is because of Zach's power, the fact that it was good to be used until jury, which made it people think that jury would start early, so that way like Zach isn't like just bulletproof to the final 9. Though at this point it's moot, but a call in the question. We have him. We have Zach just hugging everyone very slowly. Zach is still hugging everyone, just hugging Morgan, the person who just voted him out. Yep, and then there's Will. All right. Okay, I'm gonna start updating the games and stuff. Yep, everyone's safe this week. It's gonna be interesting. Should be an interesting interview here. Finally leaving. Everyone's crying. Yep, it's so sad. All right, all right. She's now doing Julie's doing a plug now for Amazing Race. Yeah, I know the cast dropped today. Yep. So yeah, they're doing a sneak peek for Amazing Race. Okay, so I updated the poll, the draft. Now I need to update the. Yeah, Zach was a popular pick, but I hedged my bet. So I think I had it on Zach initially. Later backed out. All right, so that's the boot. Yep. Actually, even the vote was more lopsided than it seems. Okay. Sorry about that. I was just updating everything. Nope, that's not it. Anyway, back from commercial here, getting into this interview. Let's see what happens here. Thoughts on Zach's game? Yeah, he's the best of the boots so far, but it's like, yeah, mistakes were made. We'll put it that way. And to be fair, he still had a path to stay if like Keanu did not win the blockbuster. Yeah, it's like a really dumb move, but I feel like his game outside of that is like, I mean, he was at least in a good spot at one point, and still had a path to stay. All right, Julie's asking about what votes he had to stay. All right, so he's pretty accurate, Rachel and Will. Oh, yep, there it is. Yeah, we all knew that was coming. Uh huh. We wore pants to meet Chembot. Uh-huh. Maybe. All right. Yeah, so like I feel like Julie was definitely like excited to have this interview. All right. Yeah, we're also supposed to begin the wall comp, aren't we? Okay, they're doing OTEV. They're doing the wall and OTEV? Alright. Alright, so yeah, man, can't complain there. So we're just seeing Mickey on the feeds here talking to Ava, it seems like. But yeah, I mean, like, on the whole, I mean, it's like, can't complain much with the outcome. Like, I feel like Zach Owens probably, it's definitely like probably the best case scenario, but it also makes me a bit worried that we're just gonna get a similar twist again next season. Like, I think in general, like, I would assume production's like liking the season a lot. I think they're definitely trying to like recapture something like with this season, and I feel like they're gonna look at this as a success. So it's like, who knows? Maybe they'll offer more money next season if they bring this twist back. Yeah. It is. Yeah, I heard it's supposed to be the wall. Yeah. So Julie said on the show that OTEV is gonna be the veto this week, so we know that, and it's why yeah. So like it has been like unofficially said that it's supposed to be the wall comp for HOH. Unless it's not gonna be feeds. Yeah, that's weird. Like we haven't heard anything about it being on feeds, so hopefully it is. Because it would suck if it wasn't. But yeah, I mean, again, pretty good episode. I mean, pretty good outcome. I think it definitely helps Zach's legacy, probably of him like having like this pretty dramatic downfall here. Yeah, I can't say I'm disappointed. But yeah, so any y'all have any reactions? So I think at this point with Zach out of the picture, like I think in terms of like future targets, like so I think I would assume like Mickey and Rachel are probably the biggest targets coming the next week. I mean, Rachel has already kind of blown her spot to where like Mickey and Morgan are pretty against her. I mean, Mickey did quite a bit of anti-Rachel campaigning across this past week. So I assume Rachel's a likely target. I think Mickey's also a potentially likely target, depending on the HOH results there. So I probably say Mickey, Rachel, and Morgan are probably the three biggest targets coming the next week. I don't think Vince is going to be that big of a priority at this point because I think with Zach going out, like Vince is definitely weaker now. I think he's definitely not as big of a priority. So take that for what you will. Keanu is still Keanu. Keanu could still blow up his spot. I mean, to be fair, it's like he was relatively like he was definitely safer than what he was like earlier in the week, and I feel like he kind of shot himself in the foot to where had he not won this comp, then he would have been in a lot of danger there. Amazon, what do you like? Are you just like posting random stuff? It would be fun if Adrian played along at home since he mentioned it once. Yeah, Wall Comp Wednesdays. Yeah, I bet he still does Wall Comp Wednesdays. How would you rank Zach on the player ranking? I still think Zach is probably number one of the boots so far. Again, because he was in by far the best position out of any of the boots up to this point. And even with this week, even with him making this mistake, he still had outs. To where I think he stays over Keanu, and he stays over Keanu at least. So I think that's something. And yeah, I mean, it's like I feel like even with this mistake, like as bad as it was, like again, at the end of the day, it is still a terrible move. Like I don't think it can be like said enough how bad of a move it is. But I think there are like some like excuses you can make, like the fact that he still would have been in a bad spot anyway. He still would have lost a number. Again, still should have done made the move. Still should have saved yourself and regroup from there. You know, can try to put faith in other people for that one specific round. But I think considering his position up to that point, I think considering like the fact that he still had potential beyond this week, I still think he is clearly number one in the boot so far, even with how bad he played this last week. I mean, Wall Comp is supposed to be on tonight. Like, I mean, we again, like it was Hamster Watch. They confirmed it like what was it last week? It was before the last HOH. So at least for a week now, it was said that it would be the Wall Comp. That doesn't teach production not to not cast the Christian Golden Boy archetype after flopping 2 seasons in a row. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I again the I feel like Riley. I think they're leaning into Riley for that role because I don't know. I feel like Zach didn't get that big of an edit on this season. Like I mean, I feel like I'm not entirely convinced they were in love with Zach this season. I think they see Riley as the golden boy. I think considering how much focus he's been getting with the showmance with Riley, I mean with Catherine. I mean, you're right. I mean, it's like it is funny seeing how like that the Matt type flopped 2 seasons in a row. I don't think it's gonna stop them from casting these types in the future because again, like they've worked before. Right when I stopped confusing Zach and Matt, yeah, I guess they kind of look alike. I mean, like with their hairstyles and stuff, and kind of their faces. Vince and Zach have the most ERs confessions up to this point. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, he was. I mean, Riley was quiet the first couple weeks, but it's like the last 2 weeks in particular, like pretty much ever since he won HOH and had it dethroned, like his edit is like really skyrocketed. Like I feel like they've really gone all in with the showmance aspect of it, which make of all that what you will. Don't mean like that. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not, I'm still not that high on Riley. I still feel like great about him, but it's like no one's really gunning for Riley at this current point, and it's like I feel like that's probably the biggest thing going for him. If it is the wall comp, I would assume he would have a good chance of winning that. Like he seems built well for that with him being somewhat tall. Julie Chen's wild this season, I guess. Any other questions or thoughts at this time? Who are you predicting to win after this point? I don't know. Like a part of me thinks Vince has it in him to recover. Like I think like Vince, despite his placement on the power ranking right now, like I could see a world where Vince recovers from this. Like I can definitely see a world where he gets out Rachel, gets out Ashley, like gets out a lot of people that were gunning for him. He can maybe start winning more comps, and I think through that, like he could definitely have like a underdog trajectory. And then there's Riley. Like I think Riley's like in a mold to where he can like skate through a lot of the game. Like again, no one's targeting him right now. Like he seems built to will win competitions. So so it's weird because like even though like again they're both men and it's like there's now a massive gender disparity because like we're now down to 8 women and 4 men. I think just looking at the board, like I would say Vince and Zach are probably the people I would be the least surprised by winning from this point on. Like I could definitely see like things shifting around to where like especially with Vince, like I feel like Vince is someone who should have been should have been in a pretty bad spot this week. Like, and I feel like considering just how up and down he's been, like again, like he was down to start, then he was up in week 2, down in week 3, up in week 4, obviously back down in week 5. Like again, like he hasn't like he's shown like this like he's shown like that he can like recover like kind of. Now how much of that is his own agency, like that's I think that's debatable, but I can definitely see him recovering like once again. And I think with Rachel becoming a bigger target, I think that definitely like reduces the possibility of him being targeted. And like I said with Riley, it's like I think Riley could just like get sleep. I think people could just sleep on him a bit too long to where he starts winning comps. So like again, like I think even with the way things are right now, I probably would have the most faith in them to go on a run because if we're looking at the rest of the board, I mean, it's like Rachel. It's like I don't think Rachel's set up well to get towards the end. Mickey is likely to be like a pretty big target down the road. And then the others, it's like I think everyone else, and then you have Keanu. Obviously, it's like Keanu is just like a complete train wreck. And then you have everyone else. It's like everyone else. It's like I can see like a lot of these people like getting deep in the game, but also it's like where is the respect to like win at the end? Because like Will, I could easily see like the likes of Will, for instance, like being dragged to the end and like being a losing finalist. Catherine, I think I could also very well see being dragged towards the end as a losing finalist. Like I think that's not particularly great. Lauren, same thing. And then you have like the likes of like Kelly and Ashley, who I think will probably continue to be like kind of messy and like maybe Ashley has a bit more potential, but I think like they'll probably just be like taken out at some point down the road. And then Morgan is like again, Morgan's kind of in a similar boat. So it's like looking at the rest of the board, I think Vince and Riley are probably the people on the highest on to like get to make a deep run while still having win equity. Catherine's my sleeper winner pick. I just think the problem with Catherine is that she's just too passive. Like I think she just feels like the type of person that would just be like overshadowed because even in the game, it's like the reason she hasn't been put up and the reason she hasn't been targeted is because like people are afraid because of her connection to Riley. Essentially, people are worried about upsetting Riley, and that gives me the thought that's like okay, so it's like Catherine's someone who's like she she doesn't seem likely to turn on Riley at this point, or at least she doesn't really have like a lot of other options at this current point to turn on Riley. And if they get towards the end together, then it's like unless like Riley just falls on his sword, then it's like I would assume Riley would just inherently like get the jury votes over them. Like so it's like it's kind of hard for me to see like the path for Catherine at this current point, but again, like it's still very early and you just never know. Kelly did a good job fading in the background. All of a sudden, I don't know. It's like I think Kelly's still like a very flawed player. I still think she's like someone who could be sniped out at this point, but it's like yeah, it's like she's no longer like on everyone's radars. I think we'll take until jury for people to realize Vince is a good player. The thing is, like Vince, he's is he a good player? I mean, like I feel like he's very he's like he has potential to be a good player, but like he's like again, I feel like he's still like a bit passive at points. He still like has like some really bad tendencies, like the fact that he like was like moping around so much of this week with him on the block and everything. And again, like we still can't forget his HOH where he put up Kelly, who was like his ally at that point. So I feel like Vince is someone who has like a lot of shortcomings as a player. But to be fair, it's like who doesn't have shortcomings on this season? Game is up for grabs, which is good. That isn't game predictable yet. I don't know. It's like in some ways it's unpredictable in the sense that it's not a complete steamroll, but it's also like I think just looking at the board, like it's like I think I have like a I feel like for a lot of these people, like I feel like I have like a very rough sense of what they're gonna do, and it's hard for me to see how they deviate from that. And yes, while things could still change, like I feel like it's gotten to the I feel like we're at the point now in the season where I feel like I could like categorize a lot of these people in the boxes, and I haven't even mentioned Ava yet. Ava to me feels like another person who could make it again be dragged very deep in the game, not be in much danger, but it's like, is she gonna make a move? And to be fair, she did make a move this week by putting up Vince and Zach. Obviously, I think that's something to consider. She still has had the best HOH of the season, but it's like outside of the noms, like she didn't really do much this week. I mean, she kind of just like made the noms and then just spent the rest of the week in bed. Like she didn't care that much whether Catherine used to veto. She didn't really like branch out beyond like her like group of like Ashley, Will, Rachel. She didn't really do much. So like I feel like even she's like another like kind of disappointing figure so far. Will Rachel win the season? I don't think so. I mean, she is someone who I think could be targeted as soon as this week. And even if she's not, like, I feel like she is going to have a very tough road to the end because I think a lot of people just, like, don't really want to take her to the end, especially Mickey. Like, Mickey's, like, really turned on Rachel at this point. So I feel like that's going to be, like, a big obstacle. And just in general, it's like there's not that many people that want to actually take Rachel to the end. Even though she does have numbers by her side, I just don't think it's likely at this point. I feel like who wins this HOH this week? A big target might go home. We'll see. I mean, again, I think like Mickey and Rachel are probably the biggest targets right now, and I could definitely see a world where like either of them like are taken out this week. Even Morgan is someone who I could very well see being targeted this week. Any other thoughts? Oh yeah, I mean it was another pretty interesting week. I can't say I'm disappointed by what happened here. And yeah, I think we could definitely be in for another interesting round here, possibly an interesting downfall. I feel like a Mickey or Morgan downfall would be pretty fun, but we'll have to see what happens here. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much everything I've got. I mean if anyone else has anything they want to talk about, I could stay on, but otherwise, don't really have much else. Obviously, I'll be back again next week to have another live stream. We'll see where we stand at that point. Another Power Ranking coming out Tuesday evening for members and Wednesday morning for everyone else. And we also have AU versus the World, which should be starting next week. I kind of been sleeping on it, but I am planning to do content for that, so be on the lookout for that as well. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. So if none of y'all have anything else that y'all want to talk about, um, yeah, I mean again, thank you for joining us tonight. I mean it was pretty fun. Again, pretty fun results. And yeah, I mean until next time, see ya.